Hi, my name is Michael Lombardo. I am the founder and CEO of BookNook, and we are reinventing how small group learning happens for schools. This is what we're up against. This is not to use share price after they announced the Trilogy acquisition. This is, I don't get a laugh on that at the ASU, all right. This is the fourth grade reading proficiency rate for as long as we've measured it as a country, going back about 30 years. It has barely budged, and only really by a few percentage points. I have been working on this problem for my entire career. I spent 10 years building what is by most measures the largest children's literacy nonprofit in America. Took it from a $500,000 operating budget to a $30 million in annual revenue. And I left and created BookNook because I had an aha moment when I realized that the problem wasn't the reading pedagogy, the problem was a workforce problem. And that at the end of the day, where there are not enough teachers with enough experience, with enough time in the day to truly be able to manage the small group learning process right, and to be able to work with kids who have all kinds of different needs in the most adaptive way possible. And so BookNook uses artificial intelligence as a way to unlock the potential of human beings throughout the school building. We are unique in not only that we provide artificial intelligence for every stage of the learning process, but also because we can automate decision making so that the non-teacher adults in the building can also be part of the team. And in fact, our number one user still to this day are paraprofessionals who increasingly, because of the teacher shortages, are being turned to do more work in the classroom, provide more intervention, and oftentimes they don't have the same skill, training, and background that a teacher has. So BookNook steps in, supports the entire cycle of learning from lesson planning to classroom management to lesson delivery, and then is doing real-time progress monitoring and assessment to feed that back into our algorithm to make great decisions for tomorrow. What that looks like for me as a teacher is every day coming into my classroom, being able to make smart decisions about who works with who when we do small group time, to be able to decide what's the just right ZPD level text for that group, to have them all work together collaboratively, talking out loud and having real authentic human learning experiences together, and having an app that's tracking all of that. So that at the end of the day, what happened in those groups is no longer a black hole for me where I wonder who read what and who understood what. I can understand exactly what happened and then can plan it all over again tomorrow. And the algorithm that manages the grouping function and supports student learning is highly dynamic and adaptive so that if somebody is sick that day or if somebody moves their reading level, everything automatically adjusts so that I don't have to think about, gosh, I've got to do another round of running records and formative reading assessments so I can decide what to do with this student and what's the just right level of text for them. BookNook is really at its core a productivity tool. We also offer content that flows through our tool. So at its basic level, we support classroom management and lesson planning, but then once students are using BookNook, they're interacting with all kinds of instructional content, some of which we create, our core reading program and phonics program, as well as our dual language learner program in Spanish. And we're excited to announce here at ASU GSV, and it's going to get lots of press, I'm sure, that we are now hosting third-party content and taking curricular content that is standards-based basal content and booknookifying it so that teachers can use what they've already begun using teaching in a more productive, easier, and more dynamic way. So isn't that exciting? And I'm sure Ed Surge is in here ready to report it, right? The most important thing for me, I'm a social entrepreneur. Like I said, I came from the nonprofit sector, is that this works. And looking at schools' formative reading assessment data as well as the data BookNook generates, we're able to see incredible results. This is our results from the 2016-17 school year looking across all of our partner schools. The average student started using BookNook about a year below benchmark in their reading. By the end of the school year, 44% had caught up to their grade level. We also saw increases in their oral reading fluency, in their confidence, in their level of engagement as readers. My favorite story about how much kids love BookNook is we did a summer program in the Gilroy Unified School District in California. Kids were asked to rate what their favorite activity over the summer was. Not only was BookNook the number one choice of every student, the number two winner was dodgeball. So we were more popular than dodgeball. Just saying. And then this last year, looking at our 2018-19 data, we did a quasi-experimental study working with the School of Education at Brown University. The exact word our PhD researcher used to describe the effect size of BookNook students versus non-BookNook students was gigantic. It was an average of 1.8 standard deviations, which equivalent is basically 2 months of schooling. So We work with about 200 school districts across 23 states. This is actually out of date in just 2 weeks. We've added 5 more states. We're very excited about that. And we work with a variety of users, not just school districts, but about a third of our partnerships are with what we call school adjacents, which are after-school programs like Boys and Girls Club, healthcare providers that are working with families on home visiting programs, United Ways, and the whole wide world. And we are going after what is a pretty big market. We think there's about a $3 billion space that BookNook can fit into just in the US. And we've got the team to do it. I was lucky to bring the person with me who is our head of national operations at my nonprofit. We recruited an Amazon veteran as our tech guy. I am the least techie person in my tech company, and have built a great board, including investors who led our last round. We are not actively fundraising right now, but we, keeping up the theme of the last presentation, are always looking for new partners that want to come be a part of what we're doing instructionally. So thanks for your time.